So one of the things I want to hit is the Sports Illustrated story in the interview with Juan Soto, where Soto said that it was the Yankees all along, but then he started to consider the future, and he thinks the Yankees are going to be good for 5 or 6 years, and after that he's not so sure, and that's why he took the Mets. And I've had this conversation on this show many, many times, and I know that when I veer off into this lane, there's always going to be people that are saying that I'm going to take the Yankee end of it. Listen, I can't control your narrative, but I can only control mine. And I've said over and over and over again, I spoke to so many fans down in Tampa over the weekend where, you know, they don't like Soto. They're mad at Soto. And I said, why are you mad at Soto? He took the best deal. He was here for 1 year. There was no allegiance for Soto to the Yankees. Now, Aaron Judge, if he had left, he came up through the Yankee system. He was drafted by the Yankees. If he had left, then I would understand the anger and the feeling of abandonment. But Soto was a pay-for-play guy. He loved playing for the Nationals. He left. Seemed like he had a good time in San Diego. He got traded because they weren't going to sign him to that kind of deal. He had a wonderful year with the Yankees. The fans showered him with love. Showered him. And then he left. And now he's trying to control the way people look at him. Well, let me stop you right there. Nobody should look at him in a bad way. Because in my opinion, no matter how he spins it, he went for the most money. So I did a podcast with Joel Sherman and John Heyman where John actually said to me, I mean, Michael, the money wasn't that different. It was just $5 million more. And I love John. He's one of my good friends in this business. And I even answered him on the air, on the podcast. $5 million difference. Are you out of your mind? After 5 years, right? After 5 years, they add another $5 million a year to the last 10 years of his contract. So it goes from $765 to $815. But let's not stop there. Let's not stop there, everybody. It's not just $815. Remember, the Yankees were at $760 for 16 years. The Mets were at $765 for 15. So the average annual value was higher. And then you know they're picking up that option after the 5th year, so that adds another $50 million. Remember also, everybody, that Steve Cohen, without blinking, gave him a suite at Citi Field for the next 15 years. So let's just say, for argument's sake, it's probably more like $1.25 million, probably go up to $1.5 million. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that's $1 million a year. That's 15 more. All right, so now we're up to $830. He gets 22 prime tickets, 22 because that's his number, behind home plate at Citi Field for every single Met game for 15 years. So Buster Olney was on with the guys in the morning, DiPietro and Rothenberg, and he said all of that is worth $50 million. So we're talking about a contract that is close to $880. Now, we can nibble and say, or quibble and say, oh, it's $870, $875. It's way more than $765. But again, he wants you to think that he chose the Mets because they have a brighter future. So let's break that down, everybody, if we can. He thinks the Yankees are going to be good for 5 or 6 years. After that, he's not sure. But with the Mets, he's sure because he likes their farm system more than the Yankees. Well, if I'm the Yankees, what I would say to Juan Soto, let's say if I was talking to Juan Soto. This year coming up is my 34th year broadcasting the Yankees. So I started in 1992. 1992 was my first season. That's the last time that the Yankees were under 500. The last time. So somebody got into Juan's head and convinced him that, well, we don't know what's going to happen in 5 or 6 years. What, the Yankees going to fold? They're going to stop paying top dollar for people? So if their farm system is not producing, what? What does that mean? They're not going to sign free agents? You think all of a sudden they're going to go into the tank? That is the most asinine thing to try to justify why you took the Mets. Now, I was talking to somebody who's really in the know down in Tampa, and they said, do you know that the Red Sox, their offer was over $800 million a year? The Red Sox. Now, a lot of it was deferred, so maybe it brings the value down to what the Mets was, which was about $765. Again, that's a fugazi value because it's so much more than $765. So then I said to the guy, well, the Red Sox have 3 of the top 15 prospects in all of baseball. That's not me making it up. Baseball Reference, Fangraphs, the top 3 prospects. Meyer, Roman Anthony, and the kid that just made the team as the second baseman. So I said to the person who is in the know, well, then why didn't he choose the Red Sox if he cared about the future? The Red Sox have a much better farm system than the Mets. So the guy said to me, well, he didn't want to play in Boston. I said, oh. So the future is important, except when it's not. Except when it's not. The future is important, except when it's not. So so many people, and we'll talk to Jeff Passan at 1:30. So many people say the Red Sox are going to be a power for many, many years to come. Many years to come. And they offered $800 million deferred. Again, I'm not sure of the present day value. I just would, if I could sit Juan down and say, why don't you just say the Mets offered me the best deal? I felt comfortable with Steve Cohen. I felt comfortable with his wife, Alex Cohen. I felt comfortable with everything that they put on the table. That's why I took them. But when you say such nonsense as, I think the Yankees are going to be good for 5 or 6 years, but after that, I'm not sure. You know, any team could go back. You know, Juan, I think you're going to be good for 5 or 6 years. At that point, you're going to be 31. After that, I'm not so sure. Nobody predicts the future. The future is not guaranteed to any of us. We could all drop dead tomorrow. So you're going to make a decision based solely on what you have extrapolated forward that the Yankee farm system is not going to give them a good team. When they haven't had a losing record since 1992, and the Mets had a losing record, 2 years ago when they fired Buck Showalter. Why is it so hard to say, I took the best deal for me? Why are you maneuvering and doing all of these verbal gymnastics to come up with a reason other than that? I just told you the Met deal is going to be worth about $875 million. And the Yankees weren't doing that. The Yankees were not giving him a suite. They were not. The Yankees were not giving him 22 legend seats for every single game. They were not going to do that. The Yankees were not giving he and his family 24-hour security all year for 15 years. The Yankees weren't doing that. The Yankees were not giving a full wardrobe to his mom. They weren't doing that. This was something Steve Cohen had to have. This player. He had to have him. I told you this even before the bidding began. If Steve Cohen wants something, he's going to get it. The one thing that doesn't make sense to me is that Cohen has come out and said, until 2 or 3 days before, I thought that we had no chance. Really? You thought you had no chance? If you were willing to go to this unbelievably high contract, you didn't think you had a chance? It was only after you met face-to-face with him? I heard Buster today on the morning show say, well, he felt very comfortable with Steve Cohen, and he didn't feel that kind of comfortability with Hal Steinbrenner. Don't you have to be comfortable with your teammates? Don't you have to be comfortable with your manager? Now, Carlos Mendoza is going to be great with him. I think it's going to be a good situation for Juan, except in May when the Mets play the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Because you heard yesterday at Clover Park, the Mets' home park, where a lot of Yankee fans attended that game, he got introduced in the first inning, and there were a lot of boos. So even if it was 50-50 Yankee and Met fans, the boos outweighed the cheers. He doesn't know what he's in for. That first series in May. He doesn't know what he's in for. Now, we have no idea whatsoever if that's going to motivate him. I think it will. It'll lock him in even more because that's what Marcus Stroman said yesterday. He said, if anything, I would just be silent. But Yankee fans are not going to be silent. I just don't get why you can't say what the real deal is. The Met farm system's better than the Yankee. Well, what happens if George Lombard Jr. becomes an absolute stud? What happens if Ben Hess becomes a great, great pitcher? What happens if Cam Schlittler becomes a good, solid number 3 starter? And then, of course, anybody that's maybe the Yankees sign Kyle Tucker. I mean, you're trying to predict 6 years, 7 years down the line, and that's why you made your decision. That is not why you made your decision. The Yankee offer was not close to the Met offer. The extras that they tacked on, let's just say the extras came out to $50 million, and that's after they pick up the option for $5 million more per year in the last 10 years of the deal. That's $865 to $760. Really? But you went to the Mets because they have a brighter future. Come on. Come on. Can't we just be honest? Why do you have to defile one place in order to exalt another place? He had it good with the New York Yankees. Believe me, he did. Showered with love on a daily basis by the fan base. They loved him. And the Yankees had it good with him. You know what the Yankees had last year? They had Ruth and Gehrig. And they were going to have that for the next 7 years if he had signed on again. And he walked away from that. It's not going to be the same for Soto with Pete Alonso. Soto and Alonso is not the same as Judge and Soto. It's just not. All I want is a little honesty. That's all. Just a little bit. I mean, you're playing these games. You tell SI about 5 or 6 years, and after that, I'm not so sure. Oh, okay. I'll play along. The money had nothing to do with it, Juan. Nothing. And please, before you start barraging me with the Yankee boys, I think he should have taken the most money. That's his right. He earned it. He's one of the best hitters that you will ever see. But it seems like he's embarrassed that he took the most money. And I've had people close to his camp say, well, there are people that offered more money. Here's the way I look at it. He wanted to stay in New York. I think he liked New York. New York has a great Latin presence. The whole deal. I think he liked New York. So it came down between the Yankees and the Mets. The Red Sox obviously didn't have a chance. He didn't want to play in Boston. He didn't want to play in Toronto. And Toronto made a great offer, too. So it came down to the Yankees and the Mets. I took the one that offered $100 million more. Does that make him a bad person? Absolutely not. It makes him a businessman. And does it make Hal Steinbrenner a bad person for saying, I'm not giving him a suite? Then I got to give Aaron Judge a suite. I got to give Garrett Cole a suite. I can't do that. Those suites are really valuable. Remember, both the Yankees and the Mets tore down Shea Stadium and the old Yankee Stadium because of suites. And now you're just going to give them away? But Steve Cohen gave it away. And you know what? Steve Cohen will probably tell Francisco Lindor and any other player, well, you're not Juan Soto. But you can't say that to Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge is better than Juan Soto. And you can't say that to Garrett Cole because before he got hurt, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Top 3. You can't say that to them. Steve Cohen had to have him. That's all. The deal was worth $100 million more than what the Yankees offered. At the least. At the least.